To truly live off the land nowadays is more of a dream than a necessity. To some folks, it would be a downright nightmare if there was no electricity or thermostatically controlled heat, no telephones. But to some, if a choice were given, it would be a pleasant reprieve from the madness of the rush of today's hectic pace, where the skyscrapers would be replaced by the maple or majestic pine. The songbird's melody would replace honking horns and squealing tires. Some believe it's the way we were meant to live. To those of you who dream of such an escape, you may feel trapped in the rush of today's society. How would you ever get up enough gumption to try a brisk change of pace? How would you do it? Well, the best place to start would be to talk to someone who's done it. In a recent trip into the northern Michigan wilderness, Michigan Magazine met just such a man and his family. Pete Schindler, along with his wife, Kathy Ray, and their 3 children, Gypsy Wind, Simon Peter, and Katie Ray, carved out a life for themselves deep in the woods of Vanderbilt, Michigan. Peter, known to many in the entertainment world as Sneaky Pete, credits his family's love of making music and recording as giving them the option of living in the forest. Sneaky Pete and the Forever Family Band can be found performing at county fairs and special events throughout the summer. But when it's time to come home, the stress of modern-day living is left behind as they step back into their forest sanctuary to that little cabin in the woods.
I'll build me a cabin way back in the woods, and we'll bake our own bread. Honey, we'll chop our own wood. We'll hunt in the field and we'll fish in the stream. Trust in our luck and we'll follow our dreams. It's a hard life in the country, and it's a hard work on the farm. I ain't got much money, but I got the time to help out my neighbor. He's a good friend of mine.
Well, we moved north, almost 9 years ago now. We originally were from down by the Flint area, and we just decided that we wanted to try to build ourselves a place in Homestead, you know. I mean, that's something that a lot of people don't do in this day and age, but always intriguing to me, you know, and I love the woods, always have loved the woods, so I decided to move up and give it a try, you know, and it's worked out quite well for us. Kathy and I have been working together for 20 years, and so we did have a job playing music that we would transfer north. You know, that's an important part too, being able to move north. A lot of people would love to.
Right. But that's where it did. The music was first then, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Your compositions and things
Well, I've been playing music all my life. And Kathy and I have been playing music together for 20 years. But I didn't start writing about the woods and things like that until we moved north.
What was more of your taste back then when you weren't writing about that?
Well, back in the time when, you know, Willie Nelson was big and famous, why he influenced a lot of what I did, you know, and that style of country music. And I played the fiddle, and I had a great band downstate, you know, and I wouldn't say that, but hey, I'm a country person. I've always wanted to live in the country, you know. I mean, to me, that's the place to live, you know.
And Kathy, did you pretty much go along with this? Was this a mutual idea to move north, or?
I probably was for it more than Pete was.
Well, did you have to convince Pete more or less?
Not really. We played music so many nights of the week, and we're just feeling kind of drained. And we were ready for a change and to slow our pace down, spend time with our children, and not try to go quite so fast.
It's a kind of a come up here and kind of recharge you. Were you familiar with this area before you headed up here, or was it just kind of just a shot in the dark type of thing? Or?
Well, when I was a kid, we always went to Paradise. That's in the UP. Every summer. My dad had some property in Paradise, and that's probably what got me into the woods, is we spent every summer up there, you know, out in the middle of nowhere, and you know, the beauty of the trees and the wind and the water and the sky, you know, that stuff doesn't leave you, you know, once you get that in you. And so I think that's what got me to move north, and that's what's gotten me to start writing songs. You know, in the past 2 years now, the whole family is in the band, and we put together a couple of collections of songs that are things about life in the forest and the wild animals and the beautiful Great Lakes, the Sturgeon Bay. We got one song on one album that's about the Sturgeon Bay, you know, how clean. You know, that was one of the things that it's fascinating when you first come up here, is that you look into a river and you can see every stone in the bottom. It's so clean, you know. I mean, to me, that's fantastic, you know. You know, that's something to write about. You
A
know,
lot of inspiration up through this area. It's
Yeah.
a lifestyle that I've never heard it portrayed in in anybody's music like you have done.
Well, yeah, well, it's basically, you know, moving north and leaving the commercial country market. Why, it was all the way around, I was trying to get in touch with what seems to be reality to me, you know, with my music and with my life, you know, and this lifestyle is a part of that, you know, getting back to the basics, because there's so much coming at you in our world, you know, in the modern world. There's so much coming at you that it's confusing, you know, to get down to basics as to what is, you know, important in a person's life.
Right, what is priority? What is really true priority?
Yeah, in a person's life.
I see that sitting here, that family is number one priority.
Is number one priority, yeah. You know, that's I say sometimes that I've made some beautiful music in my life, and, you know, out of all the things that maybe I'll create in life, I'll never create anything as wonderful as these children, you know. I mean, this has got to be the greatest thing that this guy's ever going to do, you know.
Now, when you did decide to build a cabin in the woods, I'm sure that it wasn't quite the task you thought it was when you first started. Tell us about the progress that you and Kathy had to run into. Maybe problems, or?
Well, when we first moved up, you know, we didn't know how to do it. We started reading books. There is a lot of literature around to learn about, you know, how to do things by hand and that. And it took us probably 2 years to collect up enough logs. We cut from various places where we could get permission to cut, mostly cedar. And Kathy and I dragged them out of the woods with a 2-man log hauler. That's probably why it took 2 years. But we did it, you know. I mean, and after 2 years of collecting up logs and deciding what we were going to try to build, and, you know, getting the money together for other parts, you know, insulation and roofing and all, you know, you got to get all that stuff. And after we got our materials all put together, it only took us about a year.
Did it take some getting used to, no electricity, or is it something that is a pleasant?
There's a good question.
What, Kathy, any thoughts on that, or?
I don't really miss it that much. Sometimes we could use a little more light, but we find that living in the woods and living in the country, when it's dark, things slow down. You use the daylight to your advantage. I guess, you know, I don't miss, I cook on a wood cook stove. I love that. There's nothing I really miss. I have a radio. I'm in touch with the world. I'm in touch with my family. And I'm involved, you know, outside of the home with the music, and so I get my share of exposure to things that are going on.
You know, sometimes it's a relief, sometimes it's
a little...
It's more work, you know, you know, yeah, be honest, you know, about it.
You can't be lazy. You have to be willing to go chop the wood if you want to be warm, and if you want to cook, and if you want hot water. You have to be willing to do the work it takes to make it happen. But it's simple to understand, and there's a sense of accomplishment in it.
And what do the kids think of the whole situation? Well, they really don't miss television or electricity. Gypsy says it doesn't really bother her, less distracting. She even seems to have a head start on her career plans of being involved in visual arts, having designed cover material for the family albums, as well as stationery designs for the Gaylord Area Council of the Arts, and illustrations for an area author's book. Simon has hopes of furthering his career as a drummer, having played since he was 3 years old. Katie Ray at this point has no long-range plans, but told us she enjoys the opportunities she has on the road, meeting the many interesting people. Making a life of working on the road and coming home to the wilderness of northern Michigan certainly seems to have brought this family closer together.
When we came with say that, well, we're going to give it a try. If it doesn't work, we can always come back. And the woods isn't right for everyone. You know, to live in the woods and to live this way isn't right for everyone. But if you think you might like it, give it a try. You never know. You know, I mean, it might work for you and make you a happier person. Or else it might drive you stir crazy and you head back downstate.